everyone, and welcome to the 17th episode of Kentucky Go Digital Live and the very first episode of the February series, Digital Tools for Support Staff. My name is Heather Worrell with the Office of Education Technology, and I'm live here from the Kentucky Department of Education with my colleague, the great, fantastic, here she is sitting right next to me, Robin McCoy. Hello, Robin. And she is with the Office of Teaching and Learning here at KDE. We are excited today because we will be highlighting digital tools for school counselors. I am joined by our Kentucky Go Digital Live team. There's Brooke and Courtney and Elaine. And we have some remarkable Kentucky school counselors that I would love for Robin to introduce at this time. Take it away, Robin.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be able to be here. What a great way to start National School Counseling Week is to be able to share some of the counseling tips that we have that are on the ground being worked at schools right now to really help us work through comprehensive school counseling models. So I have one counselor with me right now. Her name is Jessica Sekulski. She is coming from Thomas Nelson High School in Nelson County, and she is going to share with us how really she has dived into Google and the Google Drive tools that they use to be able to do advisory and really a scheduling approach that's very school-wide and all the tools that go in with that. It's a really incredible approach to being able to offer really good programs to her kids that are really consistent messages. We had two other counselors with us, and you guys know the life of a school counselor is, they could be pulled in all kinds of different directions. And so we hope they're going to be able to join us, and that would be Dr. Taylor Holt, who was planning to share with us how she uses Google Forms to schedule student appointments. Guys, it will rock your socks off if you have not already, if you are not already doing this. It's a great way to keep students informed. It's a great way to keep your staff informed of when kids are coming to the counseling office. And then we also had Amy Beal, who is going to share with us Scuda Pro. So a lot of you are like, what is Scuda? What a name, right? Is Scuda? And so she was going to share with us how they use Google, which is Google. Don't you love that? A combination of two words there. So how she uses Scuda Pro to be able to drive their comprehensive school counseling program. I think most of you may be familiar with Campbell County and that they are a RAMP certified district. And so they really rock and roll it with a comprehensive school counseling model. And I think it's something for all of us to take notes about of how they're executing that within their district. I think they have 23 school counselors or 24 school counselors on the ground in their district. So it really is awesome work that they do. But we know that data is a critical component to comprehensive school counseling. And so the data tool that they use is Scuda Pro. And it is aligned to our national standards. So instead of creating a dashboard that you have to kind of do intensive work to set up with, it's already done for you. It's that time analysis. It's where you are having the agreement with your principal to dedicating your time to serving our students. And so it's a really cool tool. So I hope they are able to join us by the end of the time today. If not, I have asked Heather, please host us again because I want to definitely come on and share those tools with our school counselors because they're just amazing tools. So before I get started with Jessica and kind of sharing those tools with you, I want to, I always use this opportunity to share my message of comprehensive school counseling and what that looks like across the state and the direction we're going in this state. If you've heard me talk before, you've probably heard all of this message, and I just want to say, I'm going to say it and say it again because this is really the direction we're headed, and it really excites me of what school counseling can look like in the future. So I'm going to take this opportunity to share some slides with you guys. Hold on just a second. And Heather, if you'll give me a thumbs up that is being displayed. We're presenting. Oh, perfect. Okay, so if you have never met me before, I am the Comprehensive Guidance Counseling Program Coordinator at the department. So I do everything with our school counseling programs. This is a new position at KDE, so it's exciting. Our commissioner, I've probably told this story 100 times, so if you've heard it, just ignore it. But the commissioner was at a meeting and they were discussing everything that school counselors do, but there was not a school counselor representative in the house. And so he said, I've got to have a coordinator for our school counselors in our state, which is exciting to think that they actually saw the need to hear our voices. And so he established the position in 2000 of this past year. And that's when immediately I came on board and I realized how important it was to make sure that we have the same mission. Our vision is the same across the state. Not only is this an opportunity to change what school counseling looks like in our state, but this is an opportunity for us to become a true tribe. I do believe in a strong school counseling partnership between every school counselor in the state. That's the only way we're going to move school counseling in the direction it needs to go. And so I use ASCA, and a lot of you have heard me say this too. I am not an ASCA salesman, although I do and loved their resources when I was in the district. So a lot of times that I would just steal things from their websites and things. And so that's, I've done it again. So their vision is one vision, one voice equals one effective school administrator. And really that's for us. One vision, one voice equaling one effective school counselor. It's moving our program. So the mission here in comprehensive school counseling is to move from really responsive services, because we know in our daily tasks, just like we've noted with Dr. Taylor Holt and possibly Amy Beal, that things are pulling them away from different things that can happen all the time with us, that we are constantly having to respond to services instead of thinking about proactive programs for all of our students at our school. Now, there is a need for responsive services, of course, but we really dig down into proactive, and that's where we find our programs that meet the needs of our whole child. So saying that, it goes into our mission of what comprehensive school counseling should look like. And that is that we work as counselors to provide access and opportunity to all students. We want to provide students provide services that support the academics and support the whole child needs of our kids. And that is really kind of a different approach. I think Kentucky's on the edge of kind of going in the direction for whole child. And that is to ensure that our schools are producing members of our community that are really healthy individuals that are ready for college and careers. And I firmly believe, my stance is that school counselors, you guys can be the leaders in moving these initiatives forward. So our job is to really have the opportunity to focus on the whole child. And so on the next slide, I just kind of show that is where my emphasis is that we're providing this provision to our community of these individuals, and it's our job to make sure that we're doing it for the whole child. And so when I came into this position, I realized, and when I was in the district too, I realized there needs to be really these pillars to school counseling. And I think ASCA supports these pillars as well, maybe in different names. But everything we do should wrap into three main values, three pillars, and that's college and career readiness. So we know we're preparing our kids for that next step. Opportunity and access, we're giving them the opportunities and access to education. So as school counselors, we know we may hate the schedule and having to build the semester schedule with our principals, but it does give us the opportunity to build our needs or build our schedules around our student needs, because we're the ones who really know that information. And then social, emotional, and behavioral health. All three of these pillars are just a love of mine, but I think at the high school level, I know I experienced it. Sometimes I was letting go and not owning my social, emotional, behavioral health, my mental health background, when really I should have been owning it just at the high school as I see elementary school counselors do. A lot of times I felt like I was saying, hey, they're going to handle character education and social, emotional learning at the lower levels. And so that when I get them, I'm going to ingrain into them college and career readiness, when really we know that students in that mindset at that age, and they are still developing that kind of cognizant reality of their world. And so social emotional learning is so important at all three levels. So all of our work should really kind of tie into those areas. And so comprehensive school counseling is hard. It's a proactive model. So there's work that has to be done prior to even implementation. A lot of you have heard me talk about what are the first steps to making this happen. If you have any questions about this, I would love to talk to you through this. But I ran into, across my visits across the state, as I ran into 3 counselors that are really running comprehensive school counseling programs that are out of this site. And I said, well, what's making making you do it. A lot of them have this passion for kids. They have a passion for school counseling and how we meet the needs of the whole child. And then they really had these really cool tools to enable them to do it. And I said, as soon as Heather asked me about doing a show, I said, I want to feature these 3 counselors. They're phenomenal at their jobs, and they're using these digital tools to really help them, because comprehensive school counseling can be so difficult at times. Because we know that we're meeting the needs of children that are huge and they can be overwhelming to us, but we can do it. Yeah.
So we have 41 people watching now. Ladies, Kentucky Go Digital Live team, we have counselors from across the state. Who are you seeing out there?
I'm going to give a shout out to my homegirl, Mary Donna Atcher at Creekside Elementary School. Okay, yeah, no, Mary Donna, she's out at Creekside. I know she is watching live. So welcome, Mary Donna. We're happy that you're here.
And one of our first to join on the chat, Kermit Belcher from out in, oh my gosh, why did I just lose my mind? Mason County. And Tara Sides is actually on the Twitter, and she's also joining us on our live chat on YouTube. So we've got a lot of people from all over the state.
I think I saw Owensboro and Caverna and Amanda out there in JCPS, Franklin County, Hopkins County, Graves County. I mean, we have a wide representation from across Kentucky. So happy National School Counseling Week to all of our rock star school counselors out there. And we're so glad you're with us. Anything else, Brooke, before we?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm really excited to jump into these tools. I know I have on my calendar, I'll be meeting with all of our counselors in Hardin County next month. So really excited to dive into these tools that are about to be showcased. So I'm ready.
At this time, I will turn it over to Jessica Sekulski as she shares her awesome tools with us.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you to everybody for having me today. This is a really unique and fun opportunity that I'm looking forward to sharing with everybody. Before I get started, I need to give a little bit of background, though. Heather on the team here has worked with me since our school opened. Thomas Nelson High School has been open for 6 years. We have a fantastic team here, and anything and everything I'm sharing with you today was not just brought on by me. It is a group of people that have worked together with some really great ideas and just have given me the tools and the time to really make sure that I'm able to share it with all of you guys here. So I'm going to go into screen share. So will you all let me know if you can see my screen? So can you see my presentation there? Okay. All right. So like I said a while ago, we are really all about what can we create together as a team. So my team here at Thomas Nelson High School, we're constantly looking at what makes sense for us, what makes sense for our students. And so what we have created over the past couple of years is the idea of creating a time and space for students to be more cared about, to help them with their decision-making process. So if you think about a school counselor, especially as many of our schools out there, right now it's just the one school counselor sometimes that's in charge of several hundred students. And so this can look really confusing. You have a long laundry list of things to do. You're taking care of multiple students that are out there. What we did when we opened up our doors is we created an advisory period. This was 14 minutes starting every single day. First, I think it started on Fridays. Now we've moved to every day. So over last year, what we decided to do were to split the whole student body up into 4 houses, 4 different groups. So here's our shields for each one of our groups. Each of these houses or groups are made up of 10 Thomas Nelson High School leaders. And those leaders are each in charge of 16 to 20 students per day in what we call a Care and Connect class. So just think about an advisory. We use the word Care and Connect, though. I myself have an advisory group. Our principals have an advisory group. It is truly an all hands on deck experience. The really cool thing about this, though, is that you do not just, it used to be that, some counselors had kids all the way from 9th through 12th grade. Now it is one leader or one teacher that has a student for 9th all the way through 12th grade. So talking about an investment in a student and their choices that they're making, not only in college, but in career, citizenship, being able to take the idea of what that student wants to do and being able to be a part of that for 4 years really puts some investment in there. It's no longer maybe just a principal invested or a counselor invested, or, I have this student for English freshman year, and then after that, I no longer see them again. Now they're able to see them for 4 years in a row and really be a part of their story.
Jessica, I want to interrupt you real quick on that talking about the Care and Connect class, just so our viewers can have a little bit of kind of a backstory. We had Courtney Newton on the show talking about her Care and Connect class. And so I love how it's kind of all coming full circle, because you guys can now go back and reference the episode where we had Courtney kind of talking about some of just the fun things that they did and announcements and things like that. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of say that on air for our viewers, that we have a kind of a follow-up episode almost to this whole Care and Connect experience, which I love. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. It is by far the most favorite part of the day. I'm actually sitting in my Care and Connect class right now, and I have pictures hanging up. I call them my girls, and it's a whole nother experience of being able to be a part of their lives on a different level. I think if you talk to any teacher here at our school, I can say it's probably their favorite part of the day too. It's really a special bond that you create in your classroom. So there are games, there's lots of different stuff teachers do. The Monday through Thursday, it's kind of open to be able to create and do what you want with your group, with some guidance here and there. But that's what leads to this Friday, which is really interesting, and what really helps me as a guidance counselor get some of these initiatives and ideas out there for comprehensive school counseling that really in the past has looked more like myself going into a classroom and repeating the same thing 7 periods a day, and really the students only hearing my voice of these items that they needed to know about college and career. But now they're not just hearing it from me. Now they get to hear it from somebody that they've really created a relationship with. So it's an investment by everybody that's here and everybody that's being a part of it. The first thing I want to show, because when it gets into planning for this future story prep, and again, this is a Friday lesson that's broken down into units, and we just use the word future story prep because all the lessons are, I'm sorry, my announcements are going to come on right now, of course. There we go. So what this has created is an opportunity for units to be given throughout the school year, and each unit is broken down into something that's going to help the student in their college or career success. So we break this down using a Google Slides, and just creating a calendar. So the most simple thing that you can use as a school counselor is creating a calendar for yourself that is always living. We use that word a lot here. Things are always changing. So this is a table placed on a Google slide. And from here, it lays out all of our units. So all of our teachers throughout the entire year can see what unit's coming up next, what they can be kind of guiding their students toward. We color code based upon how long each lesson's going to be. Sometimes we do 14 minutes, sometimes we do 30 minutes. So just one use of a Google tool to help us in organizing that process as well. I'm really going to dive into, I needed to go into a unit so I could actually show you some of the digital tools that we're using. We are living and breathing our scheduling unit right now as guidance counselors at Thomas Nelson. But I know I have a lot of elementary and middle school teachers or counselors out there listening as well right now. You can look at this as any type of unit, any type of lesson that you're trying to get out there to your students. It doesn't necessarily have to be scheduling. I know it looks a little bit different at each grade level, but just think of the idea of something that you're out there kind of floating around. So in the past, this was me. I was this little astronaut out here in space, doing my own thing and not really kind of grounded with a tribe behind me, helping me out and really being a part of this bigger and larger conversation that we have with students. So I am going to jump into the scheduling unit we're doing. It's very long and I'm not going to go through it all, but I will point out some key things. So the biggest thing for us is when we are creating a unit, we do create a theme behind all this. So I just thought this was fun. We call it our Yeti hunting. We took Harry and the Hendersons trying to, with Google Slides, you can input lots of videos and you can do some really nice editing and stuff with it. So we're constantly pushing cohesiveness through a theme. It adds excitements for the students to find some other things. So it's really, Google Slides makes it easy to embed things as well. For example, when I'm trying to get something across to students and I know that maybe the staff might not be able to explain it as well as I have. So every staff just today opened up a Google lesson from this lesson that you're seeing in front of me. There were some things that happened over the weekend that I needed students and teachers to know about, but I necessarily couldn't have a meeting this morning at 7:30 to tell all teachers what was going on. But I could go in and make a video and then insert it into a slide so that I could address the whole student body, every staff member, and they could all get the information that I wanted to put out there. So this video was created in Screencastify. Screencastify is a Google Chrome add-on. It's really simple to use. Even I, who sometimes am not totally tech savvy, could go in, it records your desktop. You can embed a webcam with your face on it, whatever you need. This one has an embedded face of mine. Sometimes I take it off, but everybody can play it and get a message from myself. Our principals use it. It's just a great way to really share the information you're wanting everybody to know that might not be able to be covered in a staff meeting, like I said a while ago. So Screencastify, really awesome Google Chrome add-on that if you're not using when you're doing a school-wide presentation like this, it makes it really good. And you have teachers going, lots of different places. You might have one that's still having a conversation from last week that they had going on for their leader prep lesson. So they're all in different places on the slides. Screencastify for, the larger announcements that need to go out there. But, the buy-in with this for teachers and being able to make them a part of this has been such a wonderful thing. On slide 12, for example, that I'm on right now, this was just a credit review sheet that we use with our students. So our teachers are really digging in. This is something, normally I would do for 300 and some students that are assigned to me all by myself. I would look over the transcript. I would complete the credit review sheet for them. And I couldn't have, 300 and some deep conversations about how this connected to their future story. But when you take that number down to 20 or less kids and a leader understanding this and a teacher being able to go over this with a student, it becomes much more powerful and much more meaning. So this credit review sheet, I wanted to explain how we use another Google tool called Google Classroom to get this out there electronically. So we have a credit review sheet that we wanted every student to complete. So we went into Google Classrooms and we have every single house. So again, we have those 4 houses, the 4 groups that make up our school, and each house has a Google Classroom. And these are all the leaders that make up the Google Classroom. And then from here is where we post anything and everything that we want to do and push it out to students. Every Karen Connect class has their own Google Classroom as well, so they can push out things on a smaller level. So it's been a really great way to take larger documents that I need students to be able to touch and manipulate, to be able to share it with them as well. So not just getting messages out there, but getting documents out there for students too. So that is the use of Google Classroom. Something else, let's see. We do lots of fun stuff. Again, this is another thing we pushed out through Google Classroom. It was a Yeti hunting bingo sheet, trying to make it more fun and interactive for students. So part of the scheduling unit was taking a larger document called the Course Offerings Book, which is what we have created to show all of our courses that we offer and description of those. We wanted to find a fun, interactive way for students to dive into that Course Offerings Book and actually use it because, you can throw something out there, but students may never click on it or open it up. Last year, we did a school-wide Kahoot game to do the same concept. So we used Kahoot as well, having each classroom be its own team. So try to, have 40-some classrooms playing Kahoot at the same time. It was quite entertaining, to say the least. But real quick, I'm going to go show the Course Offerings Book. wrong tab right there. So the course offerings book. So you can look at this if your school needs a course offerings book, if you have a student discipline book that you're wanting to go electronic with, you can create this in a slides. And again, I love Google Slides because you can make so many slides that have links to them or have videos in them. So this is what our entire staff sees. It's about 50-some pages long. Our staff goes in here and edits it, and it's accessible through our school's website. So I'm going to show you real quick a student parent view. So again, same book, but they don't have to see all the editing or the stuff to the left-hand side. But they're able to interact with this by just clicking on any of these links, and it will take them to a certain page. We have our pathways listed in here. Let me go down a little bit more. Here's all of our advanced placement courses. But again, Google Slides, something cool that it allows you to do. It's an interactive course offerings book now that has been created for parents and students where we can embed a video. And, these are our students in this video trying to recruit other students to take AP coursework. So here's our dual credit information. We have links to all of our partners that we use for our dual credit program. So again, just that ability to really go in and create an interactive document for people to use that are outside of this building as well. So Google Slides, awesome thing. We use it for lots more than just lessons. It's where we take a lot of our stuff as well.
Jessica, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. On that, how you use the interactive slides, I'm thinking about a lot of the things that you do as a school counselor. You go before site-based council and you have to get that approved, and then it goes to the Board of Education. And the fact that there's so much more on a slide than a piece of paper. So if I'm a board member or I'm a site-based member or a parent, I can get so much more information than just that piece of paper. So it's easier to approve. It's more transparent. Everyone is on the same page. I just love how you all put it all together. And it's so much information if I'm a parent or if I'm outside thinking about approving this policy or this schedule that you all may, put out. So I love the thought process behind it and how transparent it is for all stakeholders that are involved in the process.
One thing too, just to mention so that everybody is aware, I love this whole interactive newsletter thing, which I've had many counselors and administrators in Hardin County ask me about this exact kind of setup and thing. But, the ability, once you have this in a Google slideshow, you can easily download that as a PDF, which still has all of those working links still built into it.
Yes.
So, and PDFs are always good when you're talking about reaching, an audience where you're not sure what the device is or what, kind of technology they have access to. So there's just a lot of flexibility and interactivity that comes with slides that I think is really powerful.
And you can share that on Facebook. I know that a lot of our parents, that is their go-to media spot, and that the fact that you can just push that out, it doesn't have to be even on. I know that, of course, it's on your all's. You have a great infrastructure with your blogger and everything at Thomas Nelson, but think about other schools that may not have that infrastructure. You can still use that link and push that out on Facebook, and they still have access to all of that entire slide deck right there, on their news feed or your school Facebook channel.
And I think one of the key features of using these digital tools like Google Slides is, once again, we go back to the idea of many hands make light work. Instead of all teachers emailing Jessica and Julia, who's the other fantastic counselor out there at Thomas Nelson High School, both rock stars, instead of all the teachers emailing them updates to individual courses, they simply share this slide set with all the teachers, and they say, okay, by this deadline, please have your courses updated. So, it distributes the workload across the school instead of the counselors having to carry all that on their shoulders. So once again, we always talk about this on Kentucky Go Digital Live, but leveraging the power of these tools for that many hands makes light work. mentality. And same thing with our student handbook. You know, I did the student handbook at Thomas Nelson High School in a silo for 3 years in an isolated Word doc. And every summer, everyone would email me all their updates. And then we pushed everything similarly to a Google slide set for the student handbook and then the staff handbook. And it just took so much of that workload off me. And once again, many hands make light work. So this is how that looks through the counseling lens, which I think is fantastic. Jess, you're rocking it out. Keep sharing, sister.
Thanks. Yeah, I was going to show you, like, Heather, you were definitely the forefront runner of like making that first initial. I remember the time you took the care book and put it into Google and just the formatting and the headache it was. But now, wow, like it is so simple. We were in a PDF version of this probably maybe a month ago for our community offerings book, our course offerings book. And we just made it that it would go live instead. We found that we were kind of doing the, you know, oh, is everybody updated it? Who's not updated? Who still needs to update? And, you know, oh, this person's updated, but it's not online yet. And so by doing it this way, it kind of put a little more pressure on everyone to get it up and running. And it's, you know, I went in last night and changed something about the dual credit program that we wanted to add. And then like you look at this page for visual arts, I am not creative. So I never could have made a slide like this, but the visual arts teachers were able to come in and, you know, use their abilities to create this really cool, fun layout. And it's theirs, it's their voice, it's their program. They're really the ones that are selling it to the students and the parents as is. So everybody, like you said, everybody has created their very own slides here. And this is not, I did not do this. I helped come in and with Joya and our other counselor and really lay it out. But from there, the teachers take over and build it themselves. It's amazing. And, you know, once you get it going, we've had to not make a ton of reviews to this year. It's just adding a few things here and there that we felt were important. So,
and Jessica, I think one of the other key factors to the teachers really taking ownership in this, especially at the high school level, is that, especially when it pertains to the elective courses, they have to sell those elective courses to students. I mean, so they have to embed the kids or embed some strong visuals because they want the students to choose their elective courses. So I think that has made it really interesting as well, getting the teachers to buy into that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you are a counselor or a teacher watching this, I think this goes back to that Screencastify, because if you can throw in a video about explaining and showing off your personality and showing off your classroom, imagine how powerful that would be if you add that in this book. And if I'm a parent, I automatically am connecting with that teacher watching that video. So I love how all of these moving parts are all about connecting. And that's the entire purpose of what we do, or connecting with the students and the parents. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a former business teacher myself. So I definitely, you know, if one of them were coming up to me and saying, hey, I need to do this, I'm like, totally encouraging it. I'm like, you know, this is in a sense job security. And if I would have had the means to make it my own, I would have loved that. Because I remember being the one that went up to the counselor and said, here's the classes I need. And it was typed into a Word document and printed out. And every student in the school were given a copy. And once you print that out and hand it to a student, it's dead. At that point, you know, you can't make changes. And if there is a change, my goodness, having to communicate that with everybody, it takes some time. So we can make changes right away. And the communication piece, you know, we went in today and students were inputting courses that they were requesting for next year into Infinite Campus just this morning. And immediately there were a couple of hiccups, and those have already been communicated to me. And after I get done doing this today, I'm gonna go straight in, make a Screencastify, stick it in tomorrow's lesson, addressing those roadblocks and those issues so that everybody can move forward. And it just gives everybody a bigger and better platform to kind of deal with.
So Jess, I'm not sure what you're going to share next, but I did want to point out a lot of our principals across the state are using a living calendar. So if you get a chance during your segment, can you speak to how, as a counselor, you use the living calendar to work smarter, not harder? Because a lot of people will understand what that is. So I'd love for them to see your view what that looks like.
Yeah, I have a few more little things to point out in this presentation with the Yeti hunting that we're doing currently with scheduling. And then after that, I'll just pull up our school living leader calendar, and I'll point out some of the things that we use it for to help us. So yeah, no problem. Another thing that we have in here, for example, today, students were logging into their IC account for their student portal. And yes, I know my app is out there for Eminent Campus, and we are biting to change over to that IC great tool that they have going on. But for right now, I guess you can say we're still doing it old school and having students go in and register themselves. But for example, like for quick, so I'm not getting 20 emails of the teacher saying, hey, so-and-so could not log in today. I don't know what's wrong with their account. I'm not going to click on this because I did not block the students' names out, but there is an interactive like doc right here in a spreadsheet. So teachers can click right here, and in their spreadsheet, they can click on a tab for whatever house they're in. Because myself, I have 2 houses or 2 groups of students under me. The other counselor has the other 2. So they click on the house they want, and then they just type in and say, you know, Sally does not know her Infinite Campus password. I then can like look it up, put it in there for her. They can click back on it tomorrow. They'll see it updated, and they can immediately tell Sally what her Infinite Campus login is. So it takes out all those emails and really creates better communication, cleaner communication for everybody involved. Everybody knows where it's at. They're not looking all over the place trying to find it. So going into later this week, 2 more things that are in this scheduling unit. We're going to have our students, we're all about reflecting and making sure that our students, you know, you teach a unit school-wide, but you're not necessarily sure that everybody got the message across exactly like you wanted to. So a great thing that we do at a lot of end of our units is have students reflect. So coming in their freshman year, every student creates their own blog spot on Blogger. So every kiddo in the whole school has a blog, and at any time we tell them to go to their blog. They know exactly how to get there, navigate, because our media specialist sets this up with them at the beginning of their freshman year, like I said. And they will go in and reflect on whatever we were discussing for that unit. So for this unit, starting on Wednesday and Thursday, they're going to go in. We're actually going to give them the option to do a Screencastify video this time and upload it to their blog, or they can just go in and type up about their experience, the scheduling process, what it looked like for them. And then we can go in and read some of the reflections, see if we were hitting it like we were supposed to during that unit, see what we need to make better for next year, see if there was any lost points that didn't quite go across. And if so, we can address those later as well. So a really good way for students to reflect on what they're doing. Announcements may come on again as well. So I know everybody's okay with, with that, I hope. Last thing I'm going to show you, though, is we collect quite a bit of information. Our cohort data, for example, that I'm about to show you, is used to be collected and placed into a spreadsheet by myself and the other counselor, and then the principals would add some things as well. But again, it's where was that access for the teachers to be able to have that information? They're now with a group that they're so close with. What is that information they have? So Wednesday and Thursday, while they're blogging, we have a spreadsheet that's called Future Story Cohort Data. I'm going to go ahead and open it up right here since it was taking a while to load earlier. This is last year's class that we had, but this is access or information that all teachers can access. It's information that makes talking points with students so much easier. A lot of times I'll have this pulled up, so when I call a kid up to my office, I can already be like, all right, here comes, Mark. And I know Mark hasn't done this, and this yet, and I know he still needs to take a college visit. So you can see, I've hidden all their names, but it does give us follow-up points. It tells us if they met their benchmarks. It tells us, if they started their resume, because we do a school-wide resume unit as well. Have they done a college visit? Are they involved in leadership roles? So, when you have 300 students under you, sometimes it's really hard to remember who's doing what, who's going to what school, who completed their FAFSA. And so to be able to pull this up as a student is walking up to my office after I've called them out, and just kind of do a quick overview in my head about, oh, yes, I need to talk to them about this when they get up here, even though I've called them up about something else. Our teachers update this, so they'll be updating it Wednesday and Thursday. They have access to it. They're responsible for updating their Care and Connect class. So they'll take those 15 to 20 students they have and just make any changes because, things change all the time. So it makes our job easier that we're not the only ones that know all this information. We're not the only ones having conversations with students about this type of information that seemed to just be a counselor topic in the past. It's now kind of a school-wide initiative. There's so many better and bigger conversations going on and students feeling much more supported because, 40 other adults can see and know this information about them, and it's just not hidden anymore. I think really in this, that was all that was open. So Heather, I will pull open our Living Leader calendar real quick, since you said some other people use this, and show. I'm the one that has to have the big icon showing. I get made fun of sometimes, but I like the visual aspect of seeing all my large icons up there when I'm looking for a document. So this is our school's Living Leader calendar. Every teacher has access to this. It's usually got everybody all in it. Anybody and everybody can edit it. If you want to know what's going on in our school, this is where you come and find it. Today, for example, so anything that's in yellow is a counseling initiative. So we color code this, and everybody knows that if it's yellow, this is something that Ms. Thomas and Ms. Sekulski are pushing out. So for today, we are doing a little bit longer than a 14-minute day today. Our Care and Connect was for 30 minutes because we are inputting those courses and having those deeper and larger conversations about scheduling. And so they have a link to that unit that I just came out of. Also, if you go over to Friday, for example, Joseph Hartledge from Campbellsville is coming. And while it's not linked right at this moment, we have another Excel document that shows all students that are displaced for the day. So I will go in and I'll make a new tab for Friday and add all the students' names that will be meeting with Mr. Hartledge at 12:30. So a teacher, for example, that's all of a sudden like, okay, Johnny's been here all morning and all of a sudden he's absent. They'll pull Living Leader up and they say, oh, 12:30. Okay, let me click here and see if he's there. And that's a way for them to figure out where he's been at. We do this for every one of our events. It's always listed. I can't go into last week because we delete the weeks as they go, but last week we had, links to our parent night. Everything was on there. So the whole school knows what initiatives we're taking on as well. I had my wonderful sidekick, Joya Thomas. I haven't even mentioned her enough, who helps me with all of these wonderful things, is out with the flu and pneumonia. And so I flew solo during a parent night last week, and I had teachers coming up to me during the day and, just saying, I see that you have a parent night tonight, and I just want to make sure if there anything I can do to help you with, because I know you're doing it by yourself. And again, it's this transparency that we have created with everybody being a part of what's going on within the building, to know that was even happening. They knew it was there because they're so used to looking at the calendar and knowing not what's just going on in my world, but I know what's going on in their world as well. I get to see.
And Jess, if you would scroll down, you guys also input testing dates, to test rosters. If you scroll down.
So here's here's our COSA window. It shows when that is. And as we start creating our rosters, all these will be linked probably in the next couple of weeks. Our pre-ACT or our pre-admin for ACT, all that gets linked as well. So this has been a great thing for students and staff to see. We even students as well, where all of our clubs are going. So this is College and Career Flight. What we used to do is, and we post these on Facebook, so I can pull them up. So we used to, on one of our walls, and Heather remembers this because she did a lot of it. She would hang up letters that students would bring in that were showing that they were accepted to college. But it kind of got a little tiring, a little bored with it. So to spice it up a little bit, we had students now take their pictures with the sign of the college that they're in. So this is kind of, again, a way for, I'm not getting 20 emails a day saying, hey, Ms. Sekulski, here's the picture of my kiddo of their acceptance letter. So what I did is they slide the picture in. His has already been posted on Facebook the other day, has this kiddo, so we're good. All of them had their release. But this guy, found a creative way with his Care and Connect class to show that he was accepted into ECTC. I even make my own little notes over here saying done. I've printed it out. It's in a picture frame. It's posted on our Fly Closer wall out by our auditorium. And I even put a little note that it's Facebook done over here too. So know I've already put him on Facebook and he's been celebrated as well. So this is just in Google Slides again, and have all the leaders here with a link to their Care and Connect. So it's a really fun way to celebrate kids in a different light. So I guess just saying the Living Leader is a place for people to go for all kinds of stuff like that. And it's easier than me going around and saying, okay, she was accepted into UK. Have I taken a picture of her? Going around and taking the picture and pulling the kiddo out. Empowered the teachers to be able to do some of this stuff and really just be a part of being with me and getting it done. So that kind of, are there any, I'll get to some questions too, but just the idea of what can you create together? And, I know there's out there I've only scratched the surface a little bit. I can't wait to hear from some of them. Before I wrap up too much, it's this group of people right here and the ones that have kind of come before them that creating that capacity. I have to give a shout out to Wes Bradley, our fearless leader, our principal. He is so brilliant and so many things he does. And if he watches this and hears me talking about him, he'll probably roll his eyes at me. But he's awesome, and he has created a capacity of the group of people you see on my screen right now, and created this coherence between all of us that makes my job so much easier. And he really, along with Heather, brought in the digital tools. And once you give power to people to do stuff like this and really get behind it, it's kind of endless of the possibilities that are out there. So I guess
Jessica, sorry.
Whatever we need to do.
Hey, Jessica, I think that's what excites me the most about this is the fact that a lot of times when we start thinking about comprehensive school counseling programs, it's so overwhelming because it feels like it's on our shoulders and it's alone on our shoulders. And especially when I talk about as a school counselor that you should be the leader and the facilitator of a whole child initiative. That's huge and it's something big on our shoulders. But what you all have done is increase the capacity so that it's not all on your shoulders, that your teachers are kind of everybody's tying in to be able to serve your students. And I think that creates a culture of cohesiveness, but your students see that too. And I think that's one thing that I think cannot be said enough about what you guys are doing as school counselors and as school leadership and and even your teaching staff. Everybody's pulling in together to support your students and their needs. So I think that's the exciting part of this. I'm really so glad it got to be featured on this day as our first time as school counselors with our digital tool, PALS with Kentucky Go Digital, because I think it really leads into a comprehensive school counseling program that shows what it can look like when capacity is just stretched across many stakeholders.
Brooke, your principal and counselors at East Hardin Middle School, they also used Google Forms for scheduling a session with the school counselor, and we see that as being pretty popular. You want to speak to that?
Sure. I don't have it pulled up right now, but it was actually born out of necessity. I think it was my last year there, maybe. Amanda Drain, she was about to have her baby, and it was during, testing season, which in middle school, that the hallway to the counseling office is during that time of year in middle school. We call that the Trail of Tears. So we had one counselor who was managing testing and also one counselor who was managing counseling. So it was just, we knew going into that we needed to come up with a way to help her not, lose her mind and make it through that. And so, and Melanie Mauser, she is the other counselor. She was the one who was pulling double duty while Amanda was on maternity leave, but she's our district assessment coordinator anyway. So what we wanted to manage, so to allow her the time to do that, was kids requesting to come to the counseling office. So what we did is set up a form, and it was just real simple. I mean, we made QR codes, and we posted the QR codes in all the classrooms, and then we sent the link out and had the teachers bookmark that link. So the teachers had access to the form, students had access to the form. The form was everywhere. And it was just a real simple, like, what's your name? What class period are you in? And so when they would request, they would fill out that form, whether it was on their own device or the teacher's device or whatever. And then we just went into the back end of the spreadsheet, and for the office manager there in the counseling office, we just turned on notifications. So anytime a user submitted a form, then she got an email, she opened it, and if Melanie was available, then she called the kid down. They did whatever they needed to do and sent them back. And if she wasn't available, it was real simple. They had a running list of who they needed to work with. They'd highlight the ones when they, met with them and took care of whatever their needs were. But something that kind of came out of that, I believe, was that they had this great record of who was coming into the counseling office. So, and that was kind of something that we just started seeing a lot of benefits kind of after the fact. And so it worked out so well, we moved that baby on over to the nurse's office. So we do the same thing with nurses, and that went over so well. I think that's pushed out in all of our schools in Hardin County, using the form for the nurses. So there's just a lot of benefits. Some we didn't even really expect that just kind of happened. So definitely popular.
I think too, that's what Dr. Taylor Holt wanted to present, is how to make that happen on a school counseling lesson. And so I definitely want to invite us back to be able to host that and show school counselors how to do that. It's an excellent tool for communication. And so it sounds like those Hardin County schools are rocking it out too. So that's awesome.
Now, Robin, I don't have the form I can pull up, but we do something very similar, Brooke, and I love it. Like, and I need to take it to my nurse and be like, here, you should be using this too. But do you all want me to show real quick just the spreadsheet form of kind of what Brooke was talking about? Because again, the visual, I need to see stuff when people are speaking of it. So
just make sure the names are hidden.
They are. I just didn't hit them while you were talking.
Yeah, no, and I'm telling you, and the thing is that I want to make sure, just to reiterate to people watching, because I know, everybody's at different places with their comforts with using Google or digital tools in general. And the thing with this is it is so simple. There's no fancy add-on. There's no fancy coding. It's literally just notifications in your spreadsheet. So it's really simple. It's a great starting point, I think, too.
And Jessica, while you're getting that started, I'll just go ahead and let our viewers know everything that we've talked about today is all going to be on the resources below, and then in our create sessions that we've added to our channel, so that you can see the benefit and pinpoint exactly what you're working on. So if we've talked about Screencastify, we're going to have a create session on that so that you can see and use that power of pause, so that if you need help with setting that up, we'll help you with that. And then also Google Classroom, we'll link that. And then we talked about Zoom even more, like making it a PDF. How do I even do that? So we're going to from Google Slides. So awesome stuff. But Jessica, I'm excited to see what you've got there. You guys are using at Thomas Nelson.
Yeah, let me make sure I have everything hidden. All right, let me share. So it's the same thing that Brooke was talking about, but I just thought viewers could maybe see when the person does the Google form, what it looks like on the backside for counselors to see who signed in. And so let me pull this up. All right, so we have a Chromebook that we sit outside of our office area, and if we're not available, we have students sign in. So it just tells, they pick out why they're here. We have other reasons they can be here, but everybody just needs support from us. It then tells what house they're in, so what group they're in. I talked about that earlier, and depending upon what house they're in, tells us what or what counselor they need to speak with. And then it says why they're here, academic issue, senior year schedule. All these are mainly scheduling right now. This tells, we can see them during the day, this person, and this person, so we could email them. And as you can see, like I said, I've been flying solo by myself for about 3 days now. So our green highlights are way down here. I have a lot of catching up to do today. But after this is when I'm going to be meeting with students. So this also sends us that email as well to be able to let us know when somebody has signed in. So my email has been a little bit crazy, but you can go in and select to not receive emails from it as well. So in that way, if it gets a little too overwhelming, you can turn those off.
Would you click back on that if you don't mind, Jessica? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, if you'll pull that up, since you have yours open, if you'll go up there, I think it's under form or tools. I can't remember. Okay, try tools. That notification rules, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is where you can turn on and off. And right there where it says if form is submitted, then send an email. And there's that blue button down there. You can add rules and, whatever it is that you want to, whatever information you want to receive. And this is just a great Google Sheets tip anyway, just no matter what you're doing. I use this, actually, I have a running total of Google certified educators in Hardin County. And so when one of my fellows has a teacher that gets certified in their building, they add them to the spreadsheet and then boom, I get an email. So I check the sheet, make a graphic, put it on Facebook. It's this whole workflow, just like Heather was saying, many hands make light work. So, I just wanted to make sure that everybody out there saw how easy it was just to turn on notifications to that sheet. And we will get you, I will do that. I'll add that to my to-do list today. We will get a create video on our create playlist on how to get started with that form because it truly is so easy. And I think it'll save you a lot of headache. So
Jessica, Adrian Richards asks if you will be at the KSCA conference. It sounds like this may be a session that you need to share. Will you be at that conference?
I have not signed up for it yet, but it's on the agenda to take care of. So I hope to be there, yes.
Also, Chase Goff, who is a principal at Caverna High School, he says he has a Frisky, oops, it just jumped because some people were chatting. He says he has the Frisky guidance and nurse on one form separated in sheets, and he uses Formule to notify the right people. He says sometimes it's helpful for guidance to know who is seeing the nurse and youth services center as well. So that's a really interesting point I hadn't thought of.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Daniel Clemens, he uses QR codes and Google Forms, and they're very helpful. He has the QR codes posted in his classrooms. The kiddos have found that by using the QR codes, that it's the fastest way to see me. So very, very good chatter going on with the live chat. Okay, anything else, Robin?
I just wanted to follow up by letting you know, happy National School Counseling Week. I think this is an awesome week to be able to celebrate our staff. And Jessica, you have really kicked it off with some amazing tools for our school counselors. So I thank you for being here today. We really hope to reschedule our other two. I'm sorry about their availability, but you guys know the life of a school counselor, that's for sure. I also wanted to share just very quickly kind of the state's direction for comprehensive school counseling, which will take us into a standards revision. So KDE will be partnering with EPSB to revise our school counseling standards. So I think as I talk about what comprehensive school counseling looks like and people on the ground are sharing these tools, it's important to know this is what's coming down the pike as we are revisiting our standards. We're going to create a state model for school counseling. We're going to do an implementation guideline, our implementation pathways rather, so that our school leaders can see what school counselors really should be doing and how they can do it. And so I know if you know me, you know my love is comprehensive school counseling for our students just because it really takes it to the next level of how we care for their needs. And these tools today really shared how we can do that. And so again, thank you, Jessica. And that's all for me, Heather.
All right. What a fantastic show. And you heard Elaine, both Elaine and Brooke talk about create videos. Create videos are companion videos that we embed into the notes section for all of these videos. So Courtney, along with the Create videos, how can people get continued support with these tools?
Before I start with that, I just want to thank you, Jessica and Robin. Everything you talked about was modeling for our principals and for our teachers. And I know when we talk about these on these shows, we talk about, supporting our teachers. And I think that as a counselor, when you're using Google Classroom and screencasting